everyone, it's Anna and Tucker, and we hope you're having a great day. Today's video is all about the Spring is in the Air book tag. I was very nicely tagged by Spill the Reads last week when she did this tag for one of her videos, and so I thought it would be fun to participate and do my own. This is an original book tag that was created by Daniela at Uncommon Reader and Reney at Beyond Books. There's 8 prompts plus a bonus prompt, and so 9 in total. So the first prompt is Spring Chicks. Name a book that made you feel warm and fuzzy. I thought about this for a while, and one book kept coming to mind, even though it's like the completely wrong season. I tried to think of a book that made me feel warm and cozy that was like appropriate for spring, but I couldn't really think of one. I don't know why. I guess I don't read a lot of like really cozy books. So the one I picked is actually a Christmas novel. It is The 12 Clues of Christmas by Rhys Bowen, and this is a book in a cozy mystery series that I really enjoy reading. The reason why this one is the one that I thought of is, you know, even though this is a spring tag, Christmas is another time that tends to lend itself to really cozy reads, and this one in particular is just super fun. It's like 1930s British Christmas in a manor house with, you know, a bunch of lords and ladies, and this book talks about so many different English Christmas traditions that are just really fun to learn about and explore with the characters. And so I read this book actually almost every single Christmas since it came out because it just really gets me in the mood for Christmas. I don't know. I have nothing but good things to say about this particular book. The next prompt is April showers or spring showers. Pick a book that is set near, in, or on the water, or that has the word water in the title. So I couldn't find one that I've read with water in the title, but I did find one that definitely takes place in the water. It's called Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen. And this book I read a couple of years ago, so I don't remember it too well. It's about a set of mermaids whose job it is to collect the souls of dead seamen and bless sailors' journeys home. But we follow one particular mermaid who, instead of collecting the soul of a boy who's about to die, she saves him instead, and she doesn't really know why. So the other mermaids find out about this. She's trying to keep it a secret. They find out about it, and it really puts her and everyone else at risk because she's kind of broken the cardinal rule. You don't save people, you collect their souls. And so she and this boy go on a journey adventure to see if they can change the fate of the boy so that he doesn't have to die. It's really good. It's a very pretty copy. It was one of the Owl Crate boxes a couple of years ago, and so it has really pretty end papers, and it's got a really pretty like just hardback binding, and the inside cover has really beautiful illustration. And then on the edges, it's got these like gold, you know, gold leaf edges, which is really pretty. This is a very good book. I highly recommend it if you are looking for a fantasy read that has mermaids in it. The next prompt is Spring Break. Talk about a time you took a break from reading and why. In my booktube newbie tag video, I think I talked about how I've been a reader basically my whole life. I can't remember a time when I didn't enjoy reading. But I took about a 5 or 6 year break from reading a couple of years ago, and it wasn't by choice. It was forced upon me. I was in a car accident and I had some major injuries, including injuries that basically made it so that I couldn't read for a very long time. And by couldn't read, I don't mean that I like forgot how to read. I just mean that anything that I picked up, you know, if I tried to read it, I would have memory issues, or it would cause really intense headaches after a page or two. And it was just, every time I tried, it was just too painful. I couldn't do it. I was unsuccessful, and it really just kind of, it really made me very, very upset and very sad at the same time. And so I still collected books off and on with the intent to read them. I always was kind of like, maybe I'll just be able to pick up a book one day. And it didn't really happen. So, you know, my break was extensive. And so I've just recently been able to start reading again on a semi-regular basis, but I still have all of the same issues that I had when I took my long reading break. But that's why I haven't read a lot of the newer books that have been out, or the newer series. I had to take such a long break that I'm just, you know, not exactly up to date on the newest readings. But I'm really happy to be able to read, you know, and enjoy books again, even if it's not nearly at the level that I was prior to my accident. The next prompt is Swallow's Homecoming, a book or an author you always go back to for comfort. I have several authors and books that I go back to for comfort, but in an effort to have a wide variety of things to tell you about, instead of just talking about one series of books or one author, I chose someone different. An author that I have enjoyed many times over the years is Sophie Kinsella, who I think I've mentioned in a different video. She writes romantic comedy type stuff. She's the author of Confessions of a Shopaholic series, if any of you have heard of that. But I just have a couple of her books here. This one is Can You Keep a Secret, which is very good. And here's another one that she wrote called 20s Girl. I think I have like 6 or 7 of her books. I have a lot of her books, but she's just really fun. She's a British author. It's just a lighthearted, fun read, really easy breezy, and just like makes you feel good. The next prompt is Blooms, a book that started slowly but blossomed into one of your favorite reads. I had a tough time with this one. I can't remember a book that I've read that kind of started off slow and then blossomed into something. Usually if it starts off too slow for me, I end up DNFing it or just finishing up it thinking, you know, it's just kind of an okay read. The closest I could come up with is a book I read a couple of years ago. It's called Lore by Alexandra Bracken. And this is another Owl Crate book that I received. It was actually one of my first Owl Crate books that I received. This book doesn't necessarily start off slow. It's pretty action-packed. It started off slow for me because this is one of the first books that I read or attempted to read when I was kind of coming off of my 5 or 6 year reading break, and reading was still especially hard for me. And this is not a small book. I had just started my Owl Crate subscription because I had fancies of reading like I used to. I don't know what was going on in my head. This was like the second book that I received in my Owl Crate, and you know, it's based on Greek mythology, which I absolutely love. I always have, and so the premise of the book sounded really, really good. It was a slow start for me because I couldn't read too much at one time. I had to like read a few pages and then put it down, and then pick it up a little bit later or a couple days later and read a couple more pages. And so it's like I had to retrain my brain a little bit to be able to handle reading a 10-page chapter, you know, which isn't a lot, but it's a lot for me. And so that's why this one, I guess, is slow. But I don't think it really starts out slow. It just kind of was slow going for me in particular. But I loved it. I did finish it eventually. I loved this book. It's very good. I highly recommend it if you like books based on Greek mythology. The next prompt is a fun one. It was also difficult for me. It's Eggs in a Basket, 3 books you want to read this spring. The reason why this was difficult is because if you've been watching any of my recent videos, I've done 2 really huge hauls in the last month. And so I have a lot of books to choose from, and I bought them because I want to read them all. We'll see if that actually happens, but it was difficult for me to kind of just choose 3. And I wanted to choose ones that maybe like kind of felt a little spring-y, but I don't think I really succeeded there. So the first book I grabbed is A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. I think this is based on a Brothers Grimm tale called The Goose Girl. I think this one would be really fun. I also would love to read The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros. I just picked this one up in the last book haul that I did. This is a romance novel, and it sounds like a more poignant and heartfelt novel versus a rom-com type of romance novel. And then the last one I picked is Hollow Kingdom by Kira Jane Buxton. This one just sounds super fun. It's about a dog and a crow that team up in a post-apocalyptic world. Maybe it's not exactly springy, but the cover, very bright green, screams spring, I think, even if it doesn't take place in spring and it's a post-apocalyptic world, which is probably less than springy. Still, I think this is going to be a really fun and interesting read. The next prompt is Green Pastures, a classic that never gets old. One of my favorite books of all time is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I think I read this for the first time in 4th or 5th grade, and it was an immediate win for me. I love this book. I've read it several times over the years, even though I haven't read it in a very, very long time. This one never gets old. The story is always good. The writing is always good. It's a very cozy, warm novel. It reminds me of my childhood, and so this is always one that never disappoints. The next prompt is Pollen, a book or author that you're allergic to. I have 2 books for this, actually. It's not the authors that I'm allergic to. It's the books themselves. The first one is The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. I've had this book in my possession for a very long time, and I really love the idea. I've seen the movie. The movie is fantastic, and I think it honestly does a much better job than the book does at what the story is. I tried so hard to get through this book, many times. I couldn't. So I still have my, pink Post-it note. I think I got to. Yeah, I gave it a good go. I got to page 164, 165 out of let's see, 530 page book. So I gave it a pretty good effort. I can't do it. And the other book is kind of a funny story. I don't even know why I still have this book, because I don't even think I got 50 pages in. When I read a book, I always try to give it at least 50 pages before making a decision. But I don't even think I got 50 pages into this book. It's been around for a while, and I actually think it gets pretty good reviews. It's a well-loved author. It's Digital Fortress by Dan Brown. Dan Brown is also the author of The Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons. Both books I liked much better. Angels and Demons is way better than The Da Vinci Code, in case you're curious. But I couldn't with this book. I maybe only got 20 or 30 pages into it. And the reason is a bit silly, to me anyways. So this book is about a code-breaking machine encounters a mysterious code it can't break, and the NSA calls its head cryptographer to see what she can uncover. So a little backstory about me. I am a software engineer, and I know how to code. I went to school for programming. I've written so much code, it's not even funny, in many different coding languages and all kinds of things. And this book is really heavy in its code description. As an engineer, the coding that is described in this book is not accurate, and I just couldn't get past it. And that's why I stopped reading it. I mean, I'm sure the story is great, and if I didn't have an engineering background, I probably wouldn't have even known. But I kind of felt like the programming portion was not well researched or not well communicated by the author. And I couldn't. Yeah, so like 30 pages, I just can't. Those were all the main prompts of the Spring is in the Air book tag, and so we've made it to the bonus prompt, which is Equinox. Find 2 books on your shelf that have the exact same number of pages and talk briefly about them. This one was actually quite challenging. I have a lot of books in my house, and it was really hard to find 2 with the exact same number of pages, and I failed a little bit, but I found 2 books within 10 pages of each other, which I feel like is good enough because, you know, when you consider different book sizes and different fonts and different print sizes and all these different things, the odds of having 2 books with the same exact number of pages, even if you have a lot of books, is kind of slim, I think. But within 10 pages. By the way, both of these books I've had for years and years and years, but they're both really good books. So the first one is a romance novel by Catherine Coulter called Evening Star. It is the first book in a series of 4. It takes place in 1850s San Francisco. It's a girl whose uncle sends her to Italy for a summer to have a very interesting experience, especially for a young maiden who hasn't experienced much life. She meets this guy, and then they don't see each other for a few years, and then they run into each other again, I think in New York or something like that. And they end up having a romance of sorts. They don't like each other at first, and then eventually, they grow to like each other. But it's a good book, and it's one of 4. So if you're looking for an older series, don't mind reading a book that's been out for a long time, I would try this one. And this one is the first in the series. And so this one has 421 pages. So the second book I found is By the Light of the Moon by Dean Koontz. Dean Koontz is one of my favorite authors. Just in general, he writes really excellent thriller books, and most of his thriller books have an element of supernatural or an element of paranormal. There's always something a little extra in his books. They're not just straight thrillers. And so this book has 431 pages. It is about a young artist who is trying to do the right thing in life. He stops and gets a room for himself and his 20-year-old autistic brother. But in a nightmarish instant, he's attacked by a mysterious doctor, injected with a strange substance, and told that he is now the carrier of something that will either kill him or transform his life in the most remarkable way. And so he's got to figure his way out of this mess and protect his brother, and they meet a woman along the way who also claims to have been injected with this stuff. And his brother is a bit like Rain Man. If you've ever seen the movie Rain Man, it kind of reminds me a lot of that movie. This book does. But it's been at least a decade, probably longer, since I've read this book, but it was really good. And Dean Koontz is an excellent author if you're looking for thrillers. And also, he's got a picture of himself with a golden retriever in a car. I mean, I had to pick this book because he's so cute. And that's it. That is all the prompts for the Spring is in the Air book tag. I want to say thank you again to Spill the Reads for tagging me, and I hope everyone enjoyed my answers to the prompts. They were really fun, and if anybody out there wants to tag me to do a different tag, feel free. I am totally up for it. I'm going to tag a few creators in the description box below in the hopes that more of you will join in doing this fun tag. Let me know if you've read any of these books or any of these authors and what you think. Or if you want to answer any of the prompts yourself, let me know in the comments below. I would be so happy and interested to hear what you have to say. And I hope you guys have a great day. If you liked this video and you want to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. I really appreciate the support. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.